It's inevitable, you know. Okay now we gon' see some highs and we gon' see some lows. We gon' see some friends and we gon' see some foes. We gon' be the pimps, get money from these hoes. Just be ready for whatever, you know how this shit go.
Hey, what's up, family? Welcome to Promise You That podcast, where we talk about the hard conversations, we talk about love, we talk about mental health, and we talk about a plethora of other things that makes up a man. But today, man, we have a very special guest, man, a straight A student, you know what I'm saying, a basketball player, a football player, a phenomenal person and all. Man, we have my nephew, man. What's up? What's going on with you, baby?
Hey, man, what's going on?
Hey, man. We back on it, man. I mean, the relationship we have is like uncanny, right? We have our disagreements, but not to the point where we are being rudely or irate. You feel me? Like, we have some conversations that most people don't have. Like, we have deep conversations about a lot of stuff. So y'all get a chance to see this right here on the podcast. So, tell them a little about yourself, man.
All right, what's going on, y'all? I am Adonis McQuarrie.
He is so goofy. Hey, but look, y'all, this is my oldest nephew. This is my sister's oldest son.
Yeah.
And he's 16. So,
Yeah.
Tell him, man.
So like you said, my name is Adonis McQuarrie. I'm 16 years old. I'm the oldest of 4 brothers, so I'm the oldest brother. I have 3 younger siblings. And yeah, I'm just trying to be the best person that I can be each and every day. So.
Guys, this is what I have to deal with, guys. I promise you. The craziest thing about it, when he first came, when we first like started to bond on a whole different level, was like 3 years ago, right?
2020.
Yeah, and I mean, that's when I was going through the hardest part of my life.
But
go ahead.
I was actually going through the hardest part of my life too. And like, I was just like having so many mental problems, like really just going through it for real. But it's like, we started back like getting our relationship where at the time, like we were both at our lowest. So it's like the crazy part about it.
Yeah, and that's the craziest thing. Like, we came together and we both grown a lot mentally and and spiritually, right? So we've grown a lot and we've grown closer. But we have conversations because I try to get my nephew the real about everything. I don't want to cut any corners acting like he is too young for this conversation or some stuff like that. Like, I like to give him the real stuff, because it gives him an opportunity to see it from a real lens and not to the point where he's looking at it like, nobody told me this. So I try to give him just real world situations. And I think it really helped a lot. Even down to his friends, like we have came to where I have a big influence even on his friends.
That's true, man. I have a game or something. He pull up to the game. I hear my teammate, oh, what's going on, big what's up with you, man? I'm like, dang, that's crazy. Like, it's times where I be in the game and my folks up there taunting like, hey, hey, man, when you gonna let us, get in that gym with y'all, man? We really trying to be a part of what y'all doing. So that's the crazy part. And for him to be like he older than us, like that's a whole different generation, 2 different generations. But just to see how good our generation clip with his generation is crazy.
And I think like I have like been coined like the cool uncle, because I don't look down on that generation. I kind of understand it, but I'm gonna give them a different perspective from a different era, but at the same time making it correlate with each other. And so I advise like any father, any uncle or some stuff like that, if you got like nephews, your children or anything like that, try to convey with them how you feel, but coming from a point that you can understand them as well. Because a lot of times we don't try to understand them, we try to downplay what they're going through or just their music and all that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty sure like when we was younger, like our parents didn't really approve of the music that we was listening to either. But it's the whole thing about it, we're in a different time and a different generation where we should understand them and support them at the same time. I got my son, like he's sitting over here in the corner. He is taping it right now himself, and he's not even a part of the camera crew. You understand me? But that's the whole thing that we try to do. I try to bridge the gap with them. I try to be understanding, but I also try to come from a place of wisdom. I don't necessarily want to tell Adonis, man, you stupid, you dumb, da da da, because you listen to this music. And sometimes I may be like, man, I don't want to hear that crap. And sometimes it's where it is. But I also find him listen to the music even I listened to or a generation before me.
Man, I got an old soul, man.
And so I think it's so dope because now it's giving him a chance to understand music. We can be listening to an old song. We could be listening to a new song, and I could be like, "Dog, that's not new. That came from this."
Yeah.
And he like, "Oh, what you?" I play it for him, and it's like it kind of like brings everything in together. So,
but, can I say something? The crazy thing is about the whole music thing is, when I was younger, I was a DJ.
Yeah, you sure was.
So that right there, that says what it says. Like, I've always had a taste for music, and like he got a taste for music. So it's time we riding in the car. I might hear a song. I'm singing. He like, dog, how you know that song? You weren't even born yet. Like, how you know that song?
Hey, but it's so crazy because like I started singing in the choir when I was 4 years old. So that kind of lets you know exactly where everything started from with being musically inclined. And one of the first songs, like secular songs that I was able to sing was the song by Monica. Of course, my mom used to play it in the house all the time. So that kind of like coined me into that. So it was like, before you walk out of my life, that was the first freaking song I learned. So my mom was looking crazy, like, what the? And I'm like, yeah, ever since then, like, I've always been music inclined. I grew kind of afraid to, like, show people, like, my music talent, like, far as singing, because it was just, like, everybody was so coined into rapping. They was like, oh, man, we gonna rap. Like, that R&B stuff don't sell. Now, in the present day, it's not enough for the R&B music. Right. So, it's just, like, it's crazy, but at the same time, it's like people miss what they don't value. Then they start to value a little bit more now, because all the music is a lot of toxic now. So let's cut to a commercial break. We'll be right back. And then after that, man, we about to get into some juicy stuff now. Hey, man, let's cut to a commercial break. And after that, we'll be back, man. We're going to come out with some fire. You feel me? Come back. Man, welcome back for the commercial break, man. Now we going to the segment I want to call Randos. Randos is basically a segment where we ask random questions, maybe may have some relevancy to the guest, or just some regular stuff that we feel like people want to know. Okay, so Adonis, do you feel that real love still exists?
That's a good one off the jump. Do I feel like real love still exists? I do feel like real love still exists, but you gotta find it with the right person. Okay. Like, you and that person really gotta connect. It can't be nothing where like y'all don't connect, but y'all want to love each other, cause like you ain't gonna feel no.
Go ahead.
Say it again.
Do you feel like real love exists?
I do feel like real love exists. You just gotta find the right person, and y'all gotta be willing to have a healthy relationship, whether that's prioritizing communication, trust, like making fun moments.
And I wonder where he got that from. Go ahead.
I feel like it still exists.
Okay. So, we know you're in a relationship now. Yep. He's been dating.
She gonna see the video. Look, there you go. Where you at? Okay.
We know he's dating now. And it kind of shocked me because he's not that type of person. Like, he really does like pay attention a lot to his studies and the stuff that he want to do and how far he want to take his career. Yeah. So when he started dating, I was like, okay, cool. I know this person had to be the real thing. You feel me? So what do you feel like in your current relationship has been a kind of a stumbling block for you guys?
Stumbling block? Don't get mad at me. Where you at? But really, one big thing is like making it where everybody in the relationship is equal. Like, it can't be where one person is it's higher than the other person or has more control or has more say so. Like, it got to be 50-50. But at the same time, there's going to be times where like it's going to be 30-70 in the aspect of like, it may be a day where this person isn't feeling well, but it may be a day this person is feeling well. So it's all about that. And another thing is communication. That's a big key, because in relationships, like, it can be hard to always communicate how you feel, but it's important to always let them know that. So it won't be no type of like.
This is how I describe relationships, right? And just think about it. You can kind of categorize like the lack of communication or the problem that you go through as like stumbling blocks.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's easier to remove one stumbling block versus trying to move 8 and 9.
Yeah.
And I mean in a physical sense. You feel what I'm saying? Like, just think about it. Like, you can have a lot of different blocks. It's easier just to, okay, cool, I can move that one block, which that one block may be communication. Mm-hmm. You open that lines of communication, so now that's no longer there, and y'all start with a clean slate. Yeah. But if you were to take and start stacking the lack of communication, the fact that I'm verbally abusive, the fact that I'm belittling, the fact that I call you dumb, stupid, hoe, bitch, all that. And when you start stacking those on top of each other, think about it. That is a lot to break down. Right. You cannot move all that at one time. And then it also creates an element that when y'all get into an argument, right, y'all are not just handling that one question. I'm saying that one problem when it's right there. Y'all are handling all 8 of those problems. Yep. So it's like, once you have that problem, you revisit it, get an understanding. A lot of times people bring things up in their relationship because they didn't have an understanding. They didn't get any clarity to that first stumbling block. Yeah. So they're constantly like, okay, cool, we're going to let it go. But you didn't really get an understanding or any clarity from it. So guess what? You add like communication on there. You call me a name. Yeah. You're adding so many different offenses on there. So about time you go and try to break it down, it's a lot harder to get through. Yeah. So that's why I try to tell you, like, get through the stumbling blocks. Like, keep clearing those away, because it's easier that way. Yeah. But if you let them all pack up, it's gonna eventually get to the point one of y'all gonna get tired.
The more you pack, the harder it's gonna be to unpack.
Yeah, you cheated. You did this, you did that, and it's harder to unpack those because you never know what you're dealing with. You might be dealing with somebody that had insecurities to a certain degree, or you may be dealing with somebody that have inadequacies and insecurities are pretty much the same. They're just like sister and brother, but they go together.
And another thing with all those different blocks is going to be so many different emotions coming from each block. Like, you're not only dealing with lack of communication, you're dealing with that, how it made the person feel.
Then you might be dealing with something that happened from their mom or their dad that they never got a chance to unpack. So that is some stuff that you have to think about.
Generational.
Yeah, and I mean, like I told you before, like it is so easy to go into a family cycle than it is to break a family cycle. Yeah. And if a person is like, it's like you was always around a male-dominated figure that was very abusive, that was verbally abusive, that was very belittling, that didn't have the ability to dream, it's easy for you to follow in that same footstep.
And even for me, I feel like some traits that I have that's like not the best traits, and these are traits that I want to work on, but it's like when I'm upset or like when something don't go my way, like I tend to shut down, and I begin to start acting like nonchalant, like, yeah, all right, like I don't really want to be bothered, but I feel like I got to get out of that because it's going to be hard for me to
have healthy relationships.
Right. Yeah.
Because at the same time, it's not like you didn't get it nowhere, right? The apple don't fall too far from the tree. Yeah. And a lot of times you even got there from me because a lot of times I feel the offense. I was so used to like just like waving it off, like whatever, bro, I don't even care. But inside I grew, I grew an offense, then I grew the animosity. Right. And so it made me act a certain way towards that person that I didn't necessarily want to do, but just because I took the offense and I formed it into that animosity.
Yep. And it got to the point where, like, I would say some junk like, man, I don't need care no more, to the point where I started thinking like, man, I don't got no emotion. I don't care about that.
And you don't want to be numb. That's the whole thing. Yeah. So I want to ask you.
No, I want to ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my question for you is, what's one of your, or like, what's a flaw that you have when like dealing with relationships, and what's something that you're doing to try to fix it or change it? He wasn't ready for that, y'all. He wasn't ready, y'all.
I think for me it was the lack of trust, and it's not to the point where I don't trust them. Like I give a person a chance to. I start off with a clean slate. I trust you until you tell me a lie.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's just like sometimes you don't know exactly what you're getting, and when people are inconsistent, for me, I just cut it off.
Yeah.
But I don't think that like that's a weakness. You feel what I'm saying? Like I feel like a lot of stuff that I had a problem with in my relationship, I pretty much worked on it, and I allow God to work on me through this time frame of getting to where I am right now. So I feel like that was the key pivotal point, because I wasn't the most communicating person. I would go through a problem, I just shut down and just like, bro, I'm gonna keep to myself. But it also made it where I didn't give my, my significant other that love, that care that they wanted, all because I was going through. So I started not to let that me going through something affect my relationship or affect how I react to that person.
Yeah, I have another question.
Yeah.
So, when you be like, I don't care, or like, man, they can have that, I don't even want to be bothered. And like, say the relationship end, do you feel like moving forward, it's harder for you to get into another relationship because you're operating differently? Or is it like...
To my will I operate now?
Yeah, like just in general. Or like, do you think it'd be like, where when you get to the new relationship, you gotta like unpack all those different traumas and all those...
I mean, I think that's always what a person should do, is unpack that luggage first before you even enter another relationship, because it's not healthy to take those old problems into a new skin. Like you never seen a snake that keeps the same skin. They shed that skin so that they can walk into the new. Yeah. So it doesn't make any sense to keep taking like, oh, I'm gonna take the old baggage on to the next relationship, because you're still landing yourself in the same predicament.
Another question: do you feel like there's like an amount of time that a person should have to heal, or you think like it's more like a them thing?
I don't think it's like a amount of time. I think it's basically set upon who you are and the way that you kind of assess yourself. So it's not amount of time, but I think you shouldn't jump into a relationship till you actually ready and that you have healed properly.
How do you know when you're ready?
First of all, you don't keep holding on to the old stuff that happened.
Yeah.
Then you know that when your feeling have changed towards the stuff that you know you did wrong, and you start to gain this level of self-assess to be where like, dang, I did this wrong in that relationship, and not trying to point the finger at the other person. And so that's how you find out what I did wrong, when you don't look at the relationship in a biased way. Well, that person did that to me, and that person did that to me. When you actually look at it like, dang, I really did some messed up crap.
A lot of stuff too,
Yeah, and you know that. And that's some stuff you're like, dang, I'm really work on that. That's what proved that you're ready to move, like you're in the process of healing. Yeah. If you never come to that point and you just like, man, it is what it is, shoot, I'm just gonna get another girl. You repeat those same steps. It's hard. Like I say, it's easy to stay in the same cycle, but it's hard to break that cycle.
So I have another question for you.
Go ahead.
So in a relationship, or like leaving a relationship and like looking for another relationship, do you feel like you have to be fully healed from your past relationship, or do you think it's more like I'm healing type of thing?
You're in the process of healing, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe you'll never be to the point you're complete, like you're just like, oh, I'm 100%.
Yeah.
But it can't go to 80.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Because certain stuff you don't just heal overnight. You don't just make a snap and it's just like, oh, dang, that little problem just went away. But when you know exactly, when you get the healing process and you get it from the source of where your healing's supposed to come from, then it becomes where it's in a healthier version of the situation, right?
Yeah.
So, last question for the randos, okay? So, how do you feel about people saying that we living in a instant gratification generation? Do you feel like it's true? Do you feel like there's validity to it, or you just feel like, oh, okay, everybody has their own You know what I'm saying? Everybody have their own outlook on it.
For the most part, I feel like it's true. And I feel like the reason why it's seen more these days is because of social media.
Yeah.
And what social media displays. Because on social media, people, you don't necessarily see the things that people go through behind the scenes. You only see the good part.
Yeah.
And it kind of make people to think we're like
everything is
perfect. Everything is like peaches and cream. Like, it's super easy to obtain this, but in reality, like, people actually work hard for the things that they got. But I just kind of feel like, then again, it's how you look at it.
Yeah, everything is, to me personally, like, everything is based on your own viewpoint, right? Yeah. But I do feel like in a lot of different ways we are living in that instant gratification type era. Is because of social media and the way it perpetuates. It perpetuates like you can get rich overnight.
Right.
It perpetuates like, oh, in order for you to look like you made it, you have to have the Lambo, you have to have the Ferraris, you have to have the Bentleys. But at the same time, understanding that these people may have sat there for years building a business and building a system that they don't let anybody know about. Yeah. But I feel like they can do a better job in understanding, like, okay, this is the way that this generation is going, that we need to show them the hard work behind everything that we're doing. And everything is not just like, okay, cool, we just made it.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, we ain't just taking trips all the time. But it's like when you seeing so many different highlights of everybody's life, that's what makes it like that. And but this is something they've been trying to push for a long time. And that's just how I feel like. And if you look at the movie Aladdin, like, we all watched that movie, even when they represented it again, like in 2021 or 2022, whatever. We all watched that movie, and like, dang. Even if you didn't think about it later, you probably thought about it in that moment, like, dang, I wish I had a genie.
Yeah.
But you didn't understand the fact of that every wish that a genie granted them with came with a con to it.
Yep, consequence.
It never like, oh, okay, cool, you're going to get this and that's going to be the end. It's like, I can make you a prince, but I can't give you a whole city and give you people that's willing to follow you just because you say you're a prince.
Or in that case, I can't give you true love.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't grant you true
and
love.
It's like, that's the stuff that he couldn't grant. He couldn't penetrate the armor of free will. And that's the thing that people don't understand. So he can only give you surface stuff. Like you say, I want a lot of money. Okay, cool. That's fine. That's easy.
Yeah.
Because it isn't involving other people. So I feel like everybody walked away looking at life like, we wish we had a genie. And I feel like that's why everybody it kind of perpetuated the same life that a lot of people live. Like, they look like they have it on Instagram. They look like they got it all together. And once they cut off that camera and go into their home, then you really see how they live.
Yeah.
And that's why some people's like, let me follow you to your home and see what you live like. Is this really you? But a lot of people can't show the real them because they're afraid that somebody won't like them for who they are or what they, you know what I'm saying, where they live or some stuff like that. But this the whole thing for me, right? I'd rather show up being me and you not like me for being me than for me to try to show up being somebody that you like. Because if I show up being exactly what you like, that means I'm a people pleaser for one.
You want to know something? There's a quote. It says, I'd rather, I forgot it, but it's like, I'd rather not please the world than please...
And please yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. A lot of people show up and they please in the world only to die to themselves.
Yeah.
I'd rather die to the world and be pleasing myself and pleasing God. But a lot of people, they only look at it like, shoot, long they like me. But if I'm doing everything for people to like me, I become a people pleaser. Yeah. I was guilty of that for a long time, just showing up and being everything to everybody, but not being enough for myself. And so I'm like, dang, bro. Like, so when it was time for me to know who I am, and I get into a place where I have to deal with me, I didn't know who the hell I was.
Because it's like, you're giving too much out to the world, but you don't got nothing for yourself. I got a cup of water. Everybody around me got a cup of water. I'm just pouring. Till I ain't got no more water. Till I ain't need myself no more.
So let's cut to a commercial break. Then we're going to come back to it. You feel? Let me see. Okay, then we're going to go to... Hey, y'all, we back, man. And, dog, you see, y'all didn't know. This is not really supposed to be, I promise you that. This is supposed to be the segment for what?
I'm fresh.
Nah. What our segment supposed to be, bro? I forgot what our segment supposed to be.
What you mean?
What our segment is supposed to be.
Give me a hint.
Yeah. You already know.
Oh, bit unconfused?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Like, oh.
What we do? Hey, man, y'all already know. See, we gonna see. So we were trying to work on this, but we not gonna do it. We gonna do it for this podcast, though. Y'all already know what it is, man. It's who?
Bit unconfused.
What?
Bit unconfused.
What?
Bit unconfused?
Yeah,
Ooh.
fair. So, let's come back with this mental health topic, right? And I might let him do his little lame little rap, dog. He always got the same little rap, constantly. 40 on my neck, 40. What?
Nah,
Why?
he ain't got the right rhythm.
Why? Here you go.
I got 40 on my neck, 40 on my wrist. Y'all like the video? We gonna get 40 on my
Lord.
neck.
Okay.
40 on my
So,
wrist.
let's go. Okay, cool. So let's get into the mental health thing, right? So does not having a father affect you in any way? Do you feel like it does?
Yeah, growing up, not having a father did affect me because I was only raised by my mom, and I got 3 younger brothers. So it's like, it's only so much she can do for us.
Yeah.
Like, it's only so much she can teach us. It's only so much she can tell us. And it was something she couldn't teach us about being a black man in America because she's not a man.
Yeah, she don't know anything about it.
Right, she don't know nothing about it. So it's like, it was kind of harder. And like, even being disciplined and stuff like that. Like, yeah, we were disciplined, but it's like, we didn't have no type of, like, we didn't know why we were being disciplined.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have that type of tough love coming from a man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we had our mom. She can do so much, but she's only a woman.
Yeah.
So it's like, there was a lot of stuff that I did growing up that, like, I didn't know why I was doing it. I didn't know why I was, like...
You just trying to find your way back.
Just trying to find my way, right. Like, that's not crazy.
So what are your viewpoints now? Like, having a male figure in your corner to help you, like, with confidence, help you with emotional intelligence. Like, what are your viewpoints on it now? Like, do you still feel that void, or what?
No, I don't feel that void no more. You definitely be having me on. Like, man, I was just talking to this man on the phone today earlier. He was like, bro, like, what you afraid of? Like, dog,
Yeah.
you a full package, dog. Like,
Yeah.
you're smart. Like, you got stuff going for yourself. Like, what are your insecurities? Like, you got a good smile. Like, you built, like, what are your insecurities? And
this is the crazy thing. Like, I don't mind giving him love and reassuring him as well, because just because he's a man doesn't mean that he don't need reassurance. And I feel like a lot of people, they kind of take that away from you. Like, oh, you a man, you don't need no reassurance. Yes, you do. Because it's sometimes when you need somebody to hold you up when you're weak. And I feel like I don't mind doing that, because that's something that I looked for when I was a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always feel like I was not worthy of, like, having my dad around. Yeah. I can like clearly convey with the insecurities that I picked up, the need to want to be, to please everybody, because of I didn't have that. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I was always reaching for that sentiment so somebody could affirm me. So I try to affirm you, even my sons. I try to confirm them in ways that help them be the man that they need to be. Like, you don't have to wait for the world to applaud you. Yeah. I'm gonna applaud you. I'm gonna pat you on your back, but I'm also gonna get on your ass when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And so that was the whole thing. It's like, men are so afraid to show each other love. They're so afraid to be that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that extra shoulder, like, hey, bro, you got this.
Yeah.
So that's why I do. That's why I do it. You feel what I'm saying? And so I just wanted you to understand, like, bro, you don't have nothing to be ashamed of. You don't have nothing. Like, whatever you're thinking in your mind, that is fear. Only fear tell you that you're inadequate. And when you lead from fear, you'll grow old to be a man that never reach his full potential just because of this fear that you have. And so I'm like, nah, maximize your potential. Because at the same time, from where we started, you're up here. Because of the fact of, I started here. And you seen me like a couple years ago, like at my lowest, like mentally broken. But you also see me do what?
Keep going.
Elevate to understand, like, I gotta give y'all love in a certain type of way. Not be afraid to show you emotions, like, bro, I love you, like, you know what I'm saying? I care for you, like, I'm always here. And that's the whole thing.
And that's another thing. I don't know if it's like this, like, with every race or ethnic group, but I just feel like in a black household, in a black society, it's like, it's not really said, but it's kind of like men are not supposed to have emotions. And like, men aren't supposed to cry.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Keep going.
Men aren't supposed to have emotions. Men aren't supposed to cry. So this kind of make you